course, you all remember, as I take a peek around to see if there are any tags for yours truly, you all remember Logan, little white boy murdered by an anti-white, non-white, and who was sentenced to a paltry sum of years. It should have been triple execution, which if I'm ever put in charge, we will have that as a punishment. U.S. triple execution. How does that happen? Very easy. You see, we electrocute you until your heart stops, and then we pump you with adrenaline and get your heart going again. You see how this works. Wakey, wakey. How did that feel? Welcome back. Now you're ready for number 2? Stranger, you mean anti-white monster animal who killed 6-year-old boy is rearrested just days after being released. A man who broke into a Kentucky home and fatally stabbed a 6-year-old boy has been rearrested in Florida just days after his early prison release sparked outrage. This is so sickening. You remember we just covered this story because he was released. This anti-white, savage, murdering animal broke into this white family's home and attacked the white family, stabbed the ever-living hell out of the white daughter, threw the father across the room with this bestial strength, and then took a steak knife and drove it through the head repeatedly of a tiny baby white boy. Logan was his name. He was given a paltry punishment. Anti-white terrorism should be met with triple execution. If found guilty, of course, court of law. Triple execution. Publicized to send the message. Just like I was saying earlier to that comment, our norms, our morality, you do as we do or you get out. That's how this works. It's not everybody's moral. I don't care if you feel like, well, we share some, good, that's great. I'm glad we share some similarities. But when you are in our countries, you do as we do. When in Rome, do as the Romans means when in Western civilization, do as the Westmen. That's what it means. And it is not a recommendation. It is an order. So given a paltry sum, because why? Anti-whiteism. Courts, white erased. Norms of justice, white erased. More and more so every day. You want to win these conversations? This is how you talk about it. You want to take back our destiny from anti-whites? This is how you talk about it. You want to continue losing and being a loser? Then you can continue with the other methods that have been losing. Simple as that, right? Then anti-whiteism, the white erasure of our norms, released this anti-white terrorist, murderer, early because he's been a good boy. Because he's been a good boy in prison. Because he's been a good boy. Is there any amount of good that brings Logan back? These anti-whites involved, there needs to be a reckoning of the anti-whites in the justice system that will dwarf what Trump is doing. If I or somebody just like me articulating the Go Free dialogic attains power, which will happen if even a percentage of our people, of our race, become a people. If we attain power, then we find all of these cops, judges, magistrates, prosecutors, etc., that facilitated anti-white outcomes. And then they are tried. And we determine, were you an anti-white? Are you the result of more injury on Western kind? And if so, triple execution. Talk about an exodus. We'll get rid of the trash like that. Like tipping the country up on its side. Ronald Anti-White Xantis, 42, stabbed Logan Tipton with a butcher knife in the middle of you remember the little boy, the picture of the little boy and his little ankle biter football outfit? Despite being sentenced to only 20 years, his prison stint was slashed because he was a good boy. He was out on mandatory re-entry supervision in Florida and was set to be released entirely. Entirely. You know, this is one of those rare cases where we get to see the normal machinery of the white erased justice system, injustice system in the West today. Oh, they raped your daughter. They raped your son. They caved her head in with a stone. Totally butchered her. Oh, and then they get 5 years in jail instead of 30 or 60 or execution. And then in half of that sentence, they get released. And with the release, not even your typical old school parole where you can't even sneeze and you're put right back in for the rest of your, no, fully released. That's what's become. And why is that? Who's victimized? The dehumanized has been victimized. Who gets further harmed? The dehumanized white race. Well, that's just what this anti-white piece of shit, in my opinion, was preparing to do. Because he took up residence directly across from an elementary school. Authorities noted that they had detained the child murderer from a residence across the street from an elementary school. And there's the little boy that can't get his life back, no matter how good he is in heaven. No matter how good of a boy he is, he can't get his life back. He can't have all those years. He can't have all of these setbacks and the struggles and the highlights and the victories and the love. He can't have any of it because of this anti-white animal and because of the anti-white injustice system, the anti-whites that work in positions of power. Little Logan can't have any of it. And more white children were on the verge of not having any of it because this animal, this anti-white animal, had posted up across the street from the elementary school. Clearly hates white children. No prison for this thing. Quartering. The white man's justice. If we are in charge of the judicial system, there'll be justice again. And then everybody like this, that the schmucks they want to complain about will behave. That's what happens when the white man is in charge of his people's safety. That's what happens. Wearing glasses. This mother wouldn't even be able to see if it weren't for the white man's science of improving eyesight. Look at this little boy. You just want to love him, love on him till the end of time. The fact that he was living right next to an elementary school is even more repulsive. I have no tolerance for this type of dangerous person flaunting our laws and thinking he would hide in our county. Xantis' arrest comes just days after Donald Trump's administration expressed fury over the killer's release. Well, we need more than that. We need more than that. The Levitt said when Xantis was released that they were looking into it. Not good enough. Wholly unacceptable for a child killer to walk free. He was found guilty of Logan's murder. And this is where they come in with another white erasure of our norms. He was found guilty by reason of insanity. And we talked about this last week, and maybe even the week before, mentioned briefly that the white race, we say, okay, you're crazy. Okay, here's the chair. We don't say you're crazy so you don't get punished. We don't say you're crazy so we are going to avoid the social contract that every citizen has with the government that props up civilization. We say, okay, you're crazy. Here's your chair. Look at this. More of the story of the butchery of this beautiful little white boy by that anti-white animal right there. Bulletproof vest or stab-proof vest. I don't know. Somebody can fill me in. And then, of course, his father said if he ever comes across him, he'll kill him. My father wouldn't wait. That's all I can say. So we have here Colin Rugg reporting on it. Rearrested. And is he going to remain in prison now for the rest of his life? Well, he was released for being a good boy. He had to, within 48 hours, apparently, report to who knows who. And he didn't do it. Why would he? And then went and lived outside of an elementary school, which he's not allowed to do. He would have been told. I am proud of the quick response by my deputies and the interagency teamwork that helped locate and arrest this disgusting individual, said Sheriff Woods. Well, you would think, if you're being white, you would think, oh, well, then he's going away forever. Think again. Think again. You know, the thing about anti-white murderers is they quit committing crimes when they're dead. And so if legally the justice system, or a maverick would say just generally, but legally through the justice system, if that were to take place, then there would be no more crime. They're reformed. Here he is.
Bring him all the way back.
I don't know if I did it. Coming back.
Put your hands behind your back, Ron.
Yes, sir. What's going on? What's going on? Yes, sir. You have anything on you? No, sir.
Pretty tight.
Being a good boy means he knows how to play the white race. That's what he's doing. Playing the white race like a fiddle. And so many anti-white, non-white people, so non-white people who are anti-white, a percentage of the overall, they know exactly how to play white people. They know exactly what to say, especially white females to get in bed with them. Odin Saya is here.
Right, you do have a warrant for your arrest out of Florida, okay? We'll talk about it in a minute. Yeah, I'll call it out. I just don't want that to become...
This is way too nice. I can't stand it. Way too nice of treatment. This is going to be, the next one is going to be tough. I'm going to try to hold it in